Well, the most common mistakes I see are measuring the wrong KPIs, over-measuring, that's dangerous and it can be demotivational. And the third thing is directors not realising how valuable that KPI data actually is. Well, a managing director of a 50-person recruitment business once showed me a beautiful set of KPIs. When I asked him, how often do you look at these and what do you use them for? He was pretty blank about the whole thing. Now, he could have been using those KPIs to help him make hugely important changes to improve the profitability of his business. But instead, he really only used the KPIs to track underperformers. And the phrase to remember when you're choosing your KPIs is measure what you value and value what you measure. The recruitment director I just mentioned had the first part nailed, but he forgot about value what you measure. Now, what I mean by that is, the most important thing with KPIs is not the measurement itself, but it's what can I learn from the data that will help me improve my business. Well, for example, you can unlock rapid improvement by focusing training where it's needed the most. You can benchmark top performers to raise expectations in your team. And you can also create internal competition. Now, one company I work with increased their sales by 30% simply by sharing the KPI results with the rest of the team. Now, clearly you need the right culture if you want to follow their lead, but it is a good example of what can be achieved. Well, that really depends on what's important to you. Do you want your staff to make more candidate marketing calls? If so, measure that as one of your KPIs. If it's important to you that a high percentage of the roles you recruit for are exclusive, then measure that. For me though, measuring KPIs wasn't just about sales. So for example, how valuable would it be for you if all your recruiters secured more high-quality candidate referrals? And what about your margins? So let's say you turn over £5 million a year, then an improvement of 1% on those margins can add significantly to your profit. So why not track margins as part of your fee defense strategy? In a nutshell, think carefully about the important drivers of your business and measure them with the aim of using the data to make improvements. Well, it's probably easier for me to show you some examples. As you can see, there are many KPIs that can be measured. The key is to decide on the ones that are the most valuable to you. Now, in the company that I ran, I measured these. Some of the measurements involved staff inputting a simple code into the database after a candidate conversation or a sales call, whilst others were measured from diary entries when I conducted one-to-one staff reviews. It's a lot easier nowadays with tools like this. Now you can see here, this recruiter has a 1 in 7 interview to placement ratio, whereas his colleague has a 1 in 3 interview to placement ratio. Now, if I were David's manager, next week's training session would be designed to improve his interview to placement ratio. For example, he might need training on job matching, interview preparation, or candidate or client control. And that's the beauty of using KPIs intelligently. Not only can you clearly see which consultants are the most productive, you can also improve profitability by focusing coaching where it's needed the most.